Hello, hello, hello. I'm Remso W. Martinez, and I'm your host. Welcome to my very new show, the Remso Republic. So, yeah, I know what you're probably thinking right now. If you've never heard of me before, you don't know who I am. What's a Remso, and what does it have to do with a republic? Well, for one, Remso is my name, and for its origins, those remain a mystery, and its root is probably remaining in ambiguity. But just like a republic, my name and the word republic actually, they're kind of similar if you think about it. Both are real. And while people might not be able to define what a Remso is, we can define what a republic is. But often these days, we can't actually do that depending on who you talk to. If you look up republic in the dictionary, you're probably going to get a solid definition. And if you look up Remso online, you're going to get me. So, we both exist. We both have a way to describe us. But how would you describe me? I'm often described as, well, some call me a jerk. Others call me
Satan.
Some call me annoying. And others call me the guy that won't stop fighting. All of those things have been used to describe me by people that don't know me, people that think they know me. Online, we have the social media warriors everywhere commenting on my pieces, sharing them around, saying, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Oh my gosh, look what he said. Yeah, this is just treacherous to humanity. Think of the children.
Yeah, well, we think of the children a little too much these days, don't you think? But in all seriousness, other ways to describe me. I'm a blogger. I've been a full-time policy analyst. I've dabbled in campaigns. I've done everything from door knocking to doing platform establishment, being a campaign manager, and I have true grit to myself, a little true grit. But enough about me. Let's talk about the show, Remso Republic. It's a new venture. Now, why do I need a show? I've already got a pretty good blog going. I'm here, there. You can find me at Liberty Conservatives in the Jason Stapleton program. But, these days, nothing just remains where it is. Everything has a way of going somewhere. And I think that this show is the next step in what I want to do. Because as much as I love writing, my fingers can only type so much. My deadlines can only come so soon, or sometimes so late. Sometimes I wish they were a little bit later, but, I've got to work between myself and other editors, depending on where I'm going, and that can become a little tedious. But this is all me. I've got my producer, I've got a microphone, I've got my voice, and I've got you, my listener. Now, everyone wants to know what they're instantly getting out of everything. No one does anything without a reason. So you're probably wondering right now, why do you want to listen to this show? Well, I'm hoping to give you something that will entertain you. I'll educate you. I'll give you a discussion you're not going to hear elsewhere. Because, like it or not, alternative media, this new media platform, is not really different than mainstream media, depending on where you go. What we see in many conservative and libertarian circles is a lot of the same talking points repeated over and over again, but depending on where you go, you're just getting a slightly different flavor. It's like Coke or Pepsi. Everyone knows that they're different, they taste a little different, but if I gave you one without the label and you drank it, you probably wouldn't really care. What I want to offer you is something different. What I want to offer you is not just simply my thoughts on things, but other people's thoughts on things. And no, you're not just going to hear us talk about Rothbard, the non-aggression principle, constantly. No, you're not going to hear 20 million different ways of talking about Rand Paul. You're not going to get that here. I want to give you something different. I don't know about you, but sometimes I can get caught in kind of a single track type of mindset. I think one of the problems that we have with social media is because we choose what information we consume, we can get in single track type of thinking. And that's bad for conversation. That doesn't tell us how other people think. One of my favorite shows to listen to right now is the Jason Stapleton program. I agree with Jason on 99% of the issues. I love his show. It's awesome. But, Jason's only giving me, and while he tries to remain objective on a lot of things, Jason's only giving me one version of the story. It's his. He states his bias out there like I do. And, I'm going to hear the Jason side of things. But what do I do? Because I can't just listen to Jason for everything. What I try and do every day is after a show, I instantly turn on to Mark Levin. And for some of you libertarians out there, you're like, oh. Well, it's because sometimes I need to know the conservative stance on things. And believe it or not, sometimes, and just every once in a while, I will watch a solid hour of MSNBC. Not because I like the pain, but because I need to know what the other side is thinking. Because how can you have an actual argument? How can you have an intellectual discussion of somebody of the opposite worldview of you if you don't know how they think, you don't know what matters to them, and you don't know what media they're consuming? Because they fall in the exact same trap that you do sometimes. It's the same trap that I fall into. We stick ourselves in our little safe spaces, our corners of the internet, our corners of everything else, and we only listen to what we want to listen to. We only look at what we want to look at. We only talk to people who act and think like us because it makes us feel good about ourselves. I'm sorry, but we're going into a pretty dangerous period in our history. And yes, I am talking about an inevitable
Trump versus Hillary race.
We're probably going to be screwed at the end of this. But let's move on. I digress. The issue at hand is this. You're going to hear from many different types of people on this show. You're going to hear from hardcore conservatives. You're going to hear from very stringent libertarians. I've got a few anarchists on there. I plan on getting some progressives on there. We're going to have an actual conversation, because if I give you something, it's this. I'm going to give you a marketplace of ideas, because you deserve that. I'm giving you a disservice if I just give you my opinion constantly, because with the way we're doing this show, it's going to be different from my blog. It's going to be different from everything else I've done. What I'm going to give you is not just my opinion, but what I'm going to give you is a discussion. We're going to talk about the things that matter to you, the things that are directly affecting your life, the things that you're not going to see on Fox. You're not going to see this on CNN. You're not going to see this on whichever site you like to go to for information. What we're going to give you is a different way of thinking about the things that matter, the things that should matter to you. Because while it doesn't take a village to raise a child, we certainly are not living in a void by being alive, by living in our giant community, by living in our state, by living in our nation. Our actions have real effects that sometimes you don't notice. Whether it's where you decide to go shop today, where you decide you're going to work, where you're going to consume your media, who you're going to vote for. Everything we do affects not only ourselves, but everyone else. Not just our friends and our family, but it affects our community, people we'll probably never meet. And if I'm going to come on this show for 30 minutes once a week to give you some drive-by information, I'm doing something wrong. In the short amount of time that you and I are here together to laugh and learn a little bit, I might as well be giving you the best dang show you're going to listen to. What we're going to talk about are free markets, limited government. We're going to talk about our current events and economics, philosophy and politics, and maybe if I feel a little selfish, I'll talk about the latest sriracha recipe I kind of cooked up, because I'm kind of a sriracha addict.
Oh my gosh, why is he talking about sriracha right now? He just talked about economics and all the other stuff.
Yeah, you know why I'm going to talk about sriracha? Because it's my show. So that right there should kind of give you a flavor of what you're listening to. I'm of the conservatarian variety. I'm conservative around my libertarian friends. I'm libertarian around my conservative friends. I'd like to say that sriracha and conservatarianism are a lot alike. Because it's not ketchup and it's not salsa, it's not hot sauce, but it's not entirely a different type of spice. It's there, and it's got the best of both things. But, you don't get very far in life by saying, oh, I view politics like I view sriracha. But, like I've done several times before, I digress. So what are we going to talk about? Well, I'll let you know right after this commercial break. Just give me 1 minute, we'll be right back very soon. Everyone has an opinion, but not everybody can stand on what they say. Sometimes what we need is a record. We need people who have a history, people who've been in the trenches, and people that know what they're saying. If there's one side I can rely on, it's the Liberty Conservative. The Liberty Conservative hosts writers from all over the liberty movement, from activists to candidates, to radio hosts to pundits. Whether you call yourself a constitutional conservative, a classical liberal, a libertarian, or whatever, what matters is this. If you want liberty, uncensored freedom, 24/7, 365 days a year, you're not going to get it from any better source than the Liberty Conservative. Whether it's Joel Curtinitis, Gavin Wax, or the other splendid writers and pundits we have there, you not only get a whole slate of new podcasts coming out, including the ones from yours truly, but you're going to hear from writers that actually know what they're talking about. And unlike many people in the mainstream media, actually have a deep passion for liberty. Go check it out today at thelibertyconservative.com. All right, we are back here. About to wrap up the show. Just want to go through the guest list if some of you haven't seen it on my website. My website is rwmartinez.liberty.me, and you can find me on Facebook at Remso W. Martinez, 24/7, 365 days a year. So let's go ahead, Mr. Producer. I'm pulling up the list right here. Episode 1 for actual premiere on July 2nd, we have Mark Claire from the Lions of Liberty podcast. This is something that is really special to me because when I first started learning about libertarianism, the classical liberal ideas of free markets and limited government, I learned about it through Mark's show because I was looking for something to listen to. YouTube is filled with every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there that wants to do a video talking about worthless, stupid BS that, it's not what I'm looking for. But I went on iTunes, I searched for Mark's, actually it wasn't even Mark's show, I hadn't heard about it yet. I just searched libertarianism, and Mark's show, The Lions of Liberty, was the first thing that came up, and after that, I was completely hooked. So to have the person who introduced me to a lot of these things, to have the person who was, I can say he was kind of like the guide and learning about all these other fantastic people pushing for the ideas of libertarianism, be my very first guest. This is awesome. Katie Moyer, aka That Liberty Girl. Y'all know her, y'all love her. She's gonna be on here, and I am so excited that she's joining us. Let me see. Oh, Brian Sujane, and this, okay. People are gonna talk about this specific episode, and it's not gonna be because of the topic. It's not gonna be because me and Brian completely rocked your world. It's gonna be because people don't know how to pronounce his name. And no, he's not foreign. He's not French, as some people have asked. Brian's just a regular white guy. His name is Sujanen. Sujanen. I've heard 20 million different ways. I mean, Mr. Producer, what's one way you've heard his name?
Sujanen.
Sujanen. What else?
Suhanen.
Suhanen. Anything else? Sajanen. I heard Sajanen one time. His name is Brian Sujanen. And don't worry, we'll have him on in season 2, and we'll get to go through this again, learn how many different versions of Brian's name that we haven't heard before will pop up. Episode 4, Joey Clark. Okay, for that episode right now, I'm going to tell you, you're probably going to hear Joey talk 90% of the time. And no, it's not because he's a blowhard and he likes to hear himself talk. is the fact that I like to hear Joey talk. Why do I like to hear him talk? Go listen to his show, The Bunbury Report. Within the first 5 seconds, you're going to hear, "Hello, my name's Joey Clark, and you're listening to The Bunbury Report. Do you not know what Bunbury is? Well, Bunbury is a character by Oscar Wilde," and he just goes on and on. The guy is a wordsmith. He's a wizard when it comes to alliteration and how he describes things and to what goes on in his head. It's like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory if it, had a love child with the Webster's Dictionary. He's a genius. I love listening to his stuff. And when he comes on here, even though I'm probably going to disagree with him on some things, I just want to hear him talk. The guy has like one of those Liam Neeson, Ryan, who's the black guy that played God? Morgan Freeman. Thank you, Mr. Producer. Morgan Freeman voices. Joey Clark is just his own style. Episode 5, Jordan Stein. We're going to see who has the bigger gun. No, get your mind out together. We're literally going to talk about guns that entire episode. Chris John Cox from Being Libertarian. That'll be interesting. Lena Bryce with the Libertarian Republic. That will be interesting too. Me and Lena have known each other for a little while. We've written for the same circles at certain points, and we kind of get into it because she's a Rand Paul bot, and since I'm kind of a Ted Cruz guy, she must think I'm a Nazi. But me and Lena are both going and fighting for the same ideas, and she's fantastic, and I love reading her stuff, so she'll be here. Oh, John Hoop for episode 8. We're going to hear what type of trouble this Libertarian Party candidate for California State Assembly has caused. I can tell you up front, when I first met John, we were at Cincinnati for an event with Freedom Works. We were part of a special group of millennials that were brought in to talk about the entitlement crisis along with our ginormous federal debt. Thanks, government. But John is fun. John is going to be awesome. I can't wait to have him here. Speaking of awesome, episode 9, Heather Nixon from the Johnny Rocket Launchpad. Heather is one of those people, you know, when you meet your favorite celebrities, you want to go out and reach out to them. Well, I've been listening to Heather and Johnny Adams at the Johnny Rocket Launchpad for over a year now, and when I got an out of the blue random request on Facebook from her, I was like, she wants to be my Facebook friend. All right, who am I to say no? Most of the time, I don't accept those random friends requests from people I've never met before, but when Heather Nixon sends you a friends request on Facebook, what do? You say yes. So, carry on. Keith Farrell, editor-in-chief at the Libertarian Republic and founder of the Farrell File. The only man I know that can properly rock a fedora. Episode 11, we have the king of rock himself, Johnny Rocket, host and founder of the Johnny Rocket Launchpad. Let me tell you, if you want to listen to a fantastic show, which will not only rock your socks off, but make you laugh to the point where you're probably going to urinate yourself, it's Johnny's show. And I don't think people give him enough credit because he's not just one of the funniest guys in the podcasting world you can listen to. You're going to learn so much more in Johnny's hour-long show with Kurt Nelson and Heather Nixon than you will probably learn in most of your classes. And they make even college professors look like rock stars when they come on the show. And I'm so happy that Johnny's agreed to come on. Apart from that, we've got one of my favorite contributors at The Blaze coming on for episode 12, Joel Curtinitis. We've got my old buddy Josh Withrow. He was the former director of public policy at Freedom Works. Recently, he's moved on to Matt Kibbe's new organization, Free the People. And he's currently an associate editor at Conservative Review. Episode 14, we have my good friend Gavin Wax, founder and owner of Liberty Conservatives magazine. Now, Gavin's one of those awesome libertarians I like because he's not just, a pundit. He's also an entrepreneur, and he owns his own coffee company. There's a plug for you, Gavin, so I'm expecting $300 for this, but he's the owner of Knickerbocker Coffee Company and the Gramercy Supply Company. Just joking. I'll give you a discount, Gavin. We'll only do $200 for this plug. Episode 15, we have the man who will never be Pope, John Wesley Reed. He's a former U.S. Marine. Remember, when you're talking about Marines, you've always got to say former because they're never retired or they were never used to be Marines. They're always former Marines. And he's a current Christian blogger, fantastic writer, if I may say so myself. I love reading his stuff. And if you're looking for some theological type of articles that are talking about how to apply your Christian faith to everyday cultural issues, John Wesley Reed's blogs are absolutely phenomenal. And speaking of phenomenal, if you have not heard Nice Libertarian by Corey Fauconnier, who will be our guest in episode 16, go check it out. We always wonder where the creative side of the Libertarian Party is. It's Corey Fauconnier. And just like Brian Sujanen, that episode will be remembered, not just because Corey will be our first rapper on the show, but because he has a last name which is 20 times more complicated than Sujanen. Am I right, Mr. Producer? Yep, Corey Fauconnier. It's not Fauconnier, Fauconnier, it's Fauconnier. Episode 17, we have someone with a very easy name, Nicholas Hamilton. My friend and colleague at Liberty University and current president of Christians for Freedom, phenomenal organization. Number 18, we have the man that rocks a handlebar mustache, a mustache with the curly edges, whatever you call it. It's a phenomenal mustache. You have to see it to believe it. But it's Logan Albright, current researcher at Conservative Review and director of research at Free the People. For episode 19, we've got the pie in the sky, Jason Pye, director of communications at FreedomWorks, blogger extraordinaire. Go check out his stuff. And for episode 20, we've got Scott Rupert, independent candidate from Ohio for U.S. Senate. These are people who are experts in their area. They're the movers and shakers that I'm always talking about. And these people are all smarter than me in some way, shape, or form because they went into a specific area and they just owned it. And this is the equivalent of the liberty-oriented Avengers, if I may say so myself. I'm so excited to have them on. I'm so excited to get to talk to them about things that we're not going to hear elsewhere. We're going to have conversations you're not going to think about. We're going to learn about each other. We're going to learn about different ways to see things. And we're going to have fun. Because if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. So without further ado, I'm going to let you go. Please tune in on Saturday around 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to the Remso Republic. I'm your host, Remso W. Martinez. So long, farewell, Advita saying good night.